chapter 44, the killing of Kamsa.
The previous line, he was the one who said Ram is keeping Sita. So Ram cannot kill him. This is Maryada Purushottam.
This guy told his wife, Ram, I am not like Ram. So you spend some time outside, you cannot come to me. Told his wife. Not like Ram. He has been long time outside, Ram still accepting him. Is that guy?
So yes.
Where Brahmanda Puran?
Maybe from Garga Samhita.
Where?
Garga Samhita.
Garga Samhita.
And now he's so angry. This guy last life he made me take away Sita. So in this life.
Some say Koi was also became Devaki. Is it written?
Who became Devaki?
Kaushalya Koikei,
Yeah,
Sir Krishna Ramchandra Gopal didn't say. As a result, he came as Devaki, but couldn't enjoy his sons first time. But Jashoda enjoyed. Yes?
Chapter 44, the killing of Kamsa.
Right?
Krishna book, chapter 44, the killing of Kamsa.
Kamsa was in the previously?
Kalannevi.
After Kamsas expressed their determination, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the killer of Madhu, confronted Chanura, and Lord Balaram, the son of Rohini, confronted Mustika.
Mustika and Chanura. Still now you go to North India, especially Punjab, Haryana, there is Dara Singh, they are fighting. Like Mustika Chanura. Wrestling, very famous. Just like America, boxing famous. They go to big cities, Calcutta, ticket. Sometimes even gambling on the ticket. Who will win? On that. Huh? Yes?
India one famous.
Yeah? There is one also from Thailand. He became fast in all these things. And there, everywhere billboard, her name is. Really? Huh?
Indian.
Wrestler or boxing? Woman. Muhammad, his daughter also famous boxer. Mother died. Yes.
So, the killer of Madhu confronted Chanura, and Lord Balaram, the son of Rohini, confronted Mustika. Krishna and Chanura, and then Balaram and Mustika locked themselves hand to hand, leg to leg, and each began to press against the other with a view to coming out victorious. They joined palm to palm, calf to calf, head to head, chest to chest, and began to strike each other. The fighting increased as they pushed each other from one place to another.
Huh? ভান্ডিবানি হবে ভান্ডিবানি কি ওই ব্রজবাসীর কাছে খাওয়ার ব্যবস্থা কি আমাদের খাওয়ার ব্যবস্থা ব্রজবাসী ওই জল তরকারি এসব সবাই ঠিক না, তবে ঝগড়াও হবে না দুই ইসের মধ্যে, কেন আমার বাড়িতে এলে না ওর বাড়িতে। আচ্ছা।
One captured the other and threw him down on the ground, and another rushed from the back to the front of another and tried to overcome him with a hold. The fighting increased step by step. There was picking up, dragging and pushing, and then the legs and hands were locked together. All the arts of wrestling were perfectly exhibited by the parties, as each tried his best to defeat his opponent. But the audience in the wrestling arena was not very much satisfied, because the combatants did not appear to be equally matched. They considered Krishna and Balaram to be considered Krishna and Balaram to be mere boys before Chanura and Mustika, who were the strongest wrestlers, as solid as stone.
Hi.
Being compassionate and favoring Krishna and Balaram, the many ladies in the audience began to talk as follows. Dear friends, there is injustice here. Another said, even in front of the king, this
Heavyweight and lightweight. Lower than lightweight.
Another said, even in front of the king, this wrestling is going on between incompatible sides.
Incompatible side.
The ladies had lost their sense of enjoyment. They could not encourage the fighting between the strong and the weak. Mustika and Chanura are just like thunderbolts, as strong as great mountains. And Krishna and Balaram are two delicate boys of very tender age. The principle of justice has already left this assembly.
Oh.
Persons who are aware of the civilized principles of justice will watch this unfair match. Those taking part in watching this wrestling match are not very much enlightened. Therefore, whether they speak or remain silent, they are being subjected to the reactions of sinful activities. But my dear friends, another lady in the assembly spoke out, just look at the face of Krishna. There are drops of perspiration on his face from chasing his enemy, and his face appears like a lotus flower with drops of water. Another lady said, don't you see how the face of Lord Balaram has turned especially beautiful? There is a reddish hue on his white face because he is engaged in a strenuous wrestling match with Mustika. Another lady in the assembly addressed her friend, dear friend, just imagine how fortunate is the land of Vrindavan, where the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself is present, always decorated with flower, garlands, and engaged. Go, Ranga. It's always decorated with flower garlands and engaged in tending cows along with his brother, Lord Balaram.
So how many cows Krishna's father had in Gosala?
9
Yeah? 9 lakhs, 30,000. And how many groups? How many groups? Who can tell? Raise hand. 108. Wrong? That's right. Some of the names, anybody?
Shamali, Damali, Jamuna,
Right. Thank you.
No, I can have a loud booming voice and...
It's okay, I can switch.
Hey.
See, I can sit here and switch both.
Oh,
Kya?
if you just give to Guru Maharaj and I can...
Yeah, if they can hear his...
Yeah, but you give to Guru Maharaj material. Personal is always very and engaged in always decorated with flower garlands, speaking of Krishna here, and engaged in tending cows along with his brother, Lord Balaram. He is always accompanied by his cowherd boyfriends, and he plays his transcendental flute. The residents of Vrindavan are fortunate to be able to constantly see the lotus feet of Krishna and Balaram, which are worshipped by great demigods like Lord Shiva and by the goddess of fortune. We cannot estimate how many pious activities were executed by the damsels of Brajabhumi, so that they were able to enjoy the Supreme Personality of Godhead by looking upon the unparalleled beauty of His transcendental body. The beauty of the Lord is beyond compare. No one is higher than or equal to Him in beauty.
What is that Sanskrit word? Who can tell? No, is higher than him. Hashim. Bolo, dekha. Think. Everybody heard what Hashim said? No. Hashim? समझ गया? Or sama. Or means not. Not equal to. Urdhva, not beyond him. Nobody can be higher, neither equal to him. Is that clear? Yes. Remember? Yes? Time is very important. You have to read books. Otherwise, class, take note. One is serious, take note in class. What Prabhupada said, best. There are many things to say, but what Prabhupada said, at least that.
The beauty of the Lord is beyond compare. No one is higher than or equal to Him in beauty of complexion or bodily luster. Krishna and Balaram are the...
Or record. No use money in the bank or money in somebody's hand. If you cannot use, that is use. Make wasting.
Krishna and Balaram are the reservoir of all kinds of opulence. Namely, we got 6 of them here.
Everybody knows the 6 opulence? Yes. This morning we discussed, no? Yes. Not again.
Okay. Wealth, strength, beauty, fame, knowledge, and the gopis are so fortunate that they can see and think of Krishna 24 hours a day, beginning from their milking the cows, or husking the paddy, or churning the butter in the morning. While engaged in cleaning their houses and washing their floors, they are always absorbed in thought of Krishna. The gopis give a perfect example of how one can execute Krishna consciousness even while performing various types of material engagements. By constantly being absorbed in the thought of Krishna, one cannot be affected by the contamination of material activities. The gopis, therefore, are perfectly in trance, samadhi, the highest perfectional stage of mystic power. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is confirmed that one who is constantly thinking of Krishna is a first-class yogi among all kinds of yogis. My dear friend,
Everybody knows the sloka.
My dear friends, one lady told another, we must accept the activities of the gopis to be the highest form of piety. Otherwise, how could they have achieved the opportunity of seeing Krishna both morning and evening? In the morning, when he goes to the pasturing ground with his cows and cowherd boyfriends, and in the evening, when he returns with them, playing on his flute and smiling very brilliantly. When Lord Krishna, the super soul of every living being, understood that the ladies in the assembly were anxious for him, he decided not to continue wrestling, but to kill the wrestlers immediately. The parents of Krishna and Balaram, namely Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda, Vasudeva, and Devaki, were also very anxious because they did not know the unlimited strength of their children. Lord Balaram was fighting with the wrestler Mustika in the same way that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was fighting and wrestling with Chanura. Lord Krishna appeared to be cruel to Chanura, and he immediately struck him thrice with his fist. The great wrestler was jolted to the astonishment of the audience. Chanura then took his last chance and attacked Krishna, just as one hawk swoops upon another. Folding his two hands, he began to strike the chest of Krishna. But Lord Krishna was not even slightly disturbed, any more than an elephant is when hit by a flower garland. Krishna quickly caught the two hands of Chanura and began to wheel him around, and simply by this centrifugal action, Chanura lost his life. Krishna then threw him to the ground. Chanura fell just like the flag of Indra, and all his nicely fashioned ornaments were scattered hither and thither.
How old was Krishna?
Krishna's always what, 6?
What do you say?
He said, how old was Krishna at this time?
What
How
do you
old was Krishna when he's fighting?
11 and a half.
11 and a half. Mustika also struck Balaram, and Balaram returned the stroke with great force. Mustika began to tremble and vomit blood. Distressed, he gave up his vital force and fell down just as a tree falls down in a hurricane. After the two wrestlers were killed, a wrestler named Kuta came forward. Lord Balaram immediately caught him in his left hand and killed him nonchalantly. A wrestler of the name of Shala came forward, and Krishna immediately cracked his head with a kick. A wrestler named Toshala came forward and was killed in the same way. Thus, all the great wrestlers were killed by Krishna and Balaram, and the remaining wrestlers fled from the assembly out of fear for their lives. All the cowherd boyfriends of Krishna and Balaram approached them and congratulated them with great pleasure. While trumpets resounded and drums were beaten, the leg bells on the feet of Krishna and Balaram tinkled. All the people gathered there began to clap in great ecstasy, and no one could estimate the bounds of their pleasure. The Brahmanas present began to praise Krishna and Balaram ecstatically. Only Kamsa was morose. He neither clapped nor offered benediction to Krishna. Kamsa resented that the trumpets and drums should be played for Krishna's victory, and he was very sorry that the wrestlers had been killed and had fled the assembly. He therefore immediately ordered the band to stop playing and addressed his men as follows.
Arrest.
I order that these two sons of Vasudev be immediately driven out of Mathura. The cowherd boys who have come with them should be plundered and all their riches taken away. Nanda Maharaj should immediately be arrested and killed for his cunning behavior. And that rascal Vasudev should also be killed without delay. Also my father, Ugrasen, who has always supported my enemies against my will, should be killed. When Kamsa spoke in this way, Lord Krishna became very angry with him, and within a second he jumped onto the high dais of King Kamsa. Kamsa was prepared for Krishna's attack, for he knew from the beginning that Krishna was to be the supreme cause of his death. Kamsa immediately unsheathed his sword and prepared to answer the challenge of Krishna with sword and shield. As Kamsa wielded his sword up and down, hither and thither, Lord Krishna, the supreme powerful Lord, caught hold of him with great force. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the shelter of the complete creation, and from whose lotus navel the whole creation is manifested, immediately knocked the crown from the head of Kamsa and grabbed his long hair in his hand. He then dragged Kamsa to the wrestling and threw him down. Then Krishna at once straddled his chest and... Is this better?
He complained somebody.
You, what does the audience think? Carry on, we'll see how well. Okay, this is good. So, grabbed Kamsa by his long hair in his hand. He then dragged Kamsa from his seat to the wrestling dais and threw him down. Then Krishna at once began to strike him over and over again. Simply from the strokes of his fist, Kamsa lost his vital force. To assure his parents that Kamsa was dead, Lord Krishna dragged him just as a lion drags an elephant after killing it. When people saw this roaring sound from all sides, as some spectators expressed their jubilation and others cried in lamentation. From that day, Kamsa had heard he would be killed by the 8th son of Devaki. He was always thinking of Krishna with his wheel in hand, and because he was very much afraid of his death, he was thinking of Krishna in that form 24 hours a day, without stopping, even while eating, while walking, and while breathing. And naturally he got the blessing of liberation. In the Bhagavad Gita it is stated, Tad bhava bhavitha. Stated Sada tad bhava bhavitha. A person gets his next life according to the thoughts in which he is always absorbed. Kamsa was...
Any sloka from Bhagavad Gita? Yes?
Jam jam vapi smaran bhava.
Jam jam vapi smaran bhava.
Jajjante kalevaram.
Jajjante kalevaram.
Tam tame vedi konteya.
Tam tame vedi konteya.
Sada tadbhava bhavita.
Sada tadbhava bhavita.
Translation? No? 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 Pandit ji? No? This Pandit? Cameraman Pandit? No? अब बोलेगा? बोलिए।
जिस भाव का स्मरण करते हुए कोई अपने शरीर का त्याग करता है, वो उस भाव के अनुरूप उसको नया शरीर का।
ठीक, सब सुना? आप बोलेगा? खड़ा हो जाओ, बोलो, सबको बता दो, ऐसे सब सुनने से के, ठीक है?
जिस भाव को स्मरण करके कोई अपना शरीर त्याग करता है, वह उसी किसी बाप के अनुसार अपना अगला जीवन पाता है।
Right. Applause. Very good. What do they want to say? Where is the other boy? He hasn't come. Vrindavan Chandra is afraid. He's timid. बोलो इधर आओ क्या सीखा तुम बोलो इधर देखो बोलो Don't look at his face, then he get nervous. Very good, applaud. ये सब बच्चा को सीखा फटाफट सीख लेगा कुछ नहीं है बच्चा का भी याद करना सुबह सुबह बोलना सुने बोल देगा प्रैक्टिस करने से हो जाता फेमस लोग बोलते हैं थोड़ा टिमिड है ये लेकिन कोई शकल ना देखे तो नर्वस नहीं ये थोड़ा स्मार्ट है ज़्यादा उम्र है सर बहुत अच्छा बच्चा लोग बोलते सुनने अच्छा लगता ठीक है बोलो
Kamsa was thinking of Krishna with his wheel, which means Narayan, who holds a wheel, conch shell, lotus flower, and club.
Who knows the meaning of the word Narayan? Exact. Narayan. Huh? What is Don't guess. Huh? Bolo. What is it? Right. Applaud. Very good. But there is also another meaning. Huh? He is lying on the water. Is it, huh? Lying on the water. दो मीनिंग है अच्छा ठीक है वेरी गुड ठीक है ये सब सिखाना चाहिए बच्चा को तो अच्छा है वो याद कर लेता एक दफे सुने सब याद कर ले लड़की लड़का सब अच्छा
According to the opinion of authorities, Kamsa attained Sarupya Mukti after death. That is to say, he attained the same form as Narayan, Vishnu. On the Vaikuntha planets, all the inhabitants have the same bodily features as Narayan. After his death, Kamsa attained liberation and was promoted to Vaikuntha Loka. From this instance, we can understand that even a person who thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as an enemy gets or a place in a Vaikuntha planet. So what to speak of the pure devotees who are always absorbed in favorable thoughts of Krishna?
So everybody knows definition of pure devotional service? Yes? Yes. Everybody knows the pure devotional service symptom, result? Yes. We discussed already, na? Yesterday? Yes. Na? Okay.
Even an enemy killed by Krishna gets liberation and is placed in the impersonal Brahmajyoti. Since the Supreme Personality of Godhead is all good, anyone thinking of him, either as an enemy or as a friend, gets liberation. But the liberation of the devotee and the liberation of the enemy are not the same. The enemy generally gets the liberation of Sayuja, and sometimes he gets Sarupya liberation. Kamsa had 8 brothers headed by Kanka, and all of them younger than he. And when they learned that their elder brother had been killed, they combined together and rushed toward Krishna in great anger to kill him. Kamsa and his brothers were all Krishna's maternal uncles, brothers of Krishna's mother Devaki. When Krishna killed Kamsa, he killed his maternal uncle, which is against the regulations of Vedic injunctions. Although Krishna is independent by all Vedic injunctions, he violates the Vedic injunctions only in inevitable cases. Kamsa could not be killed by anyone but Krishna. Therefore, Krishna was obliged to kill him. But as far as Kamsa's 8 brothers were concerned, Balaram took charge of killing them. Balaram's mother, Rohini, although the wife of Vasudeva, was not the sister of Kamsa. Therefore, Balaram took charge of killing all of Kamsa's 8 brothers. He immediately took up an available weapon, most probably the elephant's tusk, which he carried, and killed the 8 brothers one after another, just as a lion kills a flock of deer. Krishna and Balaram thus verified the statement that the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears in order to give protection to the pious and to kill the impious demons.
Substantiated by the verse. Very good, applaud. चैतन्य का अर्थ क्या है, तात्पर्य क्या है, तुम बता दो सबको. खड़ा हो जाओ, सबको इधर घूम के.
दुष्टों का विनाश करने के लिए और धर्म की संस्थापना करने के लिए मैं हरि में आता हूँ.
Right, applaud.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead appears in order to give protection to the pious and kill the impious demons, who are always enemies of the demigods. The demigods from the higher planetary systems showered flowers congratulating Krishna and Balaram. Among the demigods were powerful personalities like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, and all joined together in showing their jubilation over Kamsa's death. There were beating of drums and showering of flowers from the heavenly planets, and the wives of the demigods danced in ecstasy. The wives of Kamsa and his 8 brothers were aggrieved at the sudden death of their husbands, and all of them struck their foreheads and shed torrents of tears, crying loudly and embracing the bodies of their husbands which lay on the wrestling dais. The wives of Kamsa and his brothers lamented, addressing the dead bodies. Our dear husbands, you are so kind and are the protectors of your dependents. Now, after your death, we are also dead, along with your homes and children. We no longer look auspicious. On account of your death, the auspicious functions to take place, such as the sacrifice of the bow, have all been spoiled. Our dear husbands, you treated persons ill who were faultless, and as a result, you have been killed. This is inevitable because a person who torments an innocent person must be punished by the laws of nature. We know that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the Supreme Master and Supreme Enjoyer of everything. Therefore, one who neglects his authority can never be happy. And ultimately, as you have, he meets death.
Krishna is the supreme angel, Bhagavad Gita. चैतन्य ऐसा क्या अर्थ है तात्पर्य आप बता नहीं सकता सबको बता दो हिंदी में
सारे जो के भोक्ता भगवान है वह सारी देवी देवताओं तथा सारे लोगों के वह महेश्वर है जो बुद्धिमान ये जानता है वह सुख शांति से अपना जीवन व्यतीत कर सकता है
राइट बॉस ये भी कर नहीं सकता देखो सिखाओ सब बच्चा लड़की को
Since Krishna was kind and affectionate to his aunts, he solaced them as far as possible. The ritualistic ceremonies performed after death were then conducted under the personal supervision of Krishna, because he happened to be the nephew of all the dead princes. After finishing this business, Krishna and Balaram immediately released their father and mother, Vasudeva and Devaki, who had been imprisoned by Kamsa. Krishna and Balaram fell at their parents' feet and offered them prayers. Vasudeva and Devaki had suffered so much trouble from Kamsa because Krishna was their son. Devaki and Vasudeva were fully conscious of Krishna's exalted position as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, although Krishna touched their feet and offered them obeisances and prayers, they did not embrace him, but simply stood up to hear the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although Krishna was born as their son, Vasudeva and Devaki were always conscious of his position. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 44th chapter of Krishna, the killing of Kamsa.
20 to 8. We can do some small one. Krishna is swallowing fire, forest fire. So nice.
Extinguishing the forest fire, chapter 17, I think. Extinguishing the forest fire.
Can I have one small question, very small question?
I was trying to release Krishna Katha. He's asking question. What is the question anyway?
So, Kamsa got the mukti of Sarupya. So, to me, it seems like he went back to God. So, I was wondering, this is not what we want, go back to God?
You don't want to go back to Godhead?
I want to go back to Godhead. But Sarupya, it's like same like going back, not Krishna Loka. He got...
Go to maybe some Narayan Loka, some what is called? Vaikuntha.
So these five different rasas with Krishnas are not there in the same way. Oh, you worship Krishna opulently. Oh, that's opulent. So not these five French Sakya, not Saga, these
It's all, when in the book it is there, we will hear. In place, in proper place. Yeah?
So, chapter 17 in the Krishna book, Extinguishing the Forest Fire. King Parikshit, after hearing of the chastisement of Kaliya, inquired from Shukadeva Goswami as to why Kaliya left his beautiful land and why Garuda was so antagonistic to him. Shukadeva Goswami informed the king that the island known as Nagalaya was inhabited by serpents. and that Kaliya was one of the chief serpents there. Being accustomed to eating snakes, Garuda used to come to this island and kill many serpents at will. Some of them he actually ate, but some were unnecessarily killed. The reptile society became so disturbed that their leader, Vasuki, appealed to Lord Brahma for protection. Lord Brahma made an arrangement by which Garuda would not create a disturbance. On each half-moon day, the reptile community would offer a serpent to Garuda. The serpent was to be kept underneath a tree as a sacrificial offering to Garuda. Garuda was satisfied with this offering, and therefore he did not disturb any other serpents. But gradually, Kaliya took advantage of this situation. He was unnecessarily puffed up by the volume of his accumulated poison, as well as by his material power, and he thought, why should Garuda be offered this sacrifice? He then ceased offering any sacrifices instead. He then ceased offering any sacrifice. Instead, he himself ate the offering intended for Garuda. When Garuda, the great devotee carrier of Vishnu, understood that Kaliya was eating the offered sacrifices, he became very angry and rushed to the island to kill the offensive serpent. Kaliya tried to fight Garuda and faced him with his many hoods and poisonous sharp teeth. Kaliya attempted to bite him, and Garuda, the great son of Taksha, in great anger and with the great force befitting the carrier of Lord Vishnu, struck the body of Kaliya with his effulgent golden wings. Kaliya, who was also known as Kadrusuta, son of Kadru, immediately fled to the lake known as Kaliya Hrada, which lay within the Jamuna river and which Garuda could not approach. Kaliya took shelter within the water of the Jamuna for the following reason. Just as Garuda went to the island of the Kaliya snake, he also used to go to the Jamuna to catch fish to eat. There was, however, a great yogi known as Subhag Swami, who used to meditate within the water. There, and who was sympathetic with the fish. He asked Garuda not to come there and disturb the fish. Although Garuda was not under anyone's order, being the carrier of Lord Vishnu, he did not disobey the order of the great yogi. Instead of staying and eating many fish, he carried off one big fish who was their leader. Subhag Swami was sorry that one of the leaders of the fish was taken away by Garuda, and thinking of their protection, he cursed Garuda with the following words: henceforward, from this day, if Garuda comes here to catch fish, then, I say this with all my strength, he will be immediately killed. The curse was known only to Kaliya. Kaliya was therefore confident that Garuda would not be able to come there. And so he thought it was wise to take shelter of the lake within the Jamuna. But Kaliya's taking shelter of Subhag Swami was not successful. He was driven away from the Jamuna by Krishna, the master of Garuda. It may be noted that Garuda is directly related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is so powerful that he is never subject to anyone's order or curse. Actually, the cursing of Garuda, who was stated in Srimad Bhagavatam to be of the stature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan, was an offense on the part of Subhag Muni. Although Garuda did not try to retaliate, the Muni was not saved from his offensive act against the great Vaishnava personality. Due to this offense, Subhag fell down from his yogic position and afterwards became a householder, sense enjoyer, in the material world. The fall down of Subhag Muni, who was supposed to be absorbed in spiritual bliss by meditation, is an instruction to the offender of Vaishnavas. When Krishna finally came out of Kaliya's lake, he was seen by all his friends and relatives on the bank of the Jamuna. He appeared before them nicely decorated, smeared all over with chandan pulp, bedecked with valuable jewels and stones, and almost completely covered with gold. The inhabitants of Vrindavan, including the cowherd boys and men, the gopis, Mother Yashoda, Maharaj Nanda, and all the cows and calves, saw Krishna coming from the Jamuna, and it was as though they had recovered their very life. When a person regains his life, naturally he becomes absorbed in pleasure and joyfulness. They each in turn pressed Krishna to their chests, and thus they felt a great relief. Mother Yashoda, Rohini, Maharaj Nanda, and the cowherd men became so happy that as they embraced Krishna, they thought they had achieved their ultimate goal of life. Balaram also embraced Krishna, but he was laughing because when everyone else had been so overwhelmed with anxiety, he had known what would happen to Krishna. All the trees on the bank of the Jamuna, along with all the cows, bulls and calves, were full of pleasure because of Krishna's appearance there. The Brahmana inhabitants of Vrindavan immediately came with their wives to congratulate Krishna and his family members. And because Brahmanas are considered to be the spiritual masters of society, they offered their blessings to Krishna and his family on account of Krishna's release. They also asked Maharaj Nanda to give them some charity on that occasion. Being so pleased by Krishna's return, Maharaj Nanda gave many cows and much gold in charity to the Brahmanas. While Nanda Maharaj was thus engaged, Mother Yashoda simply embraced Krishna and made him sit on her lap while she shed tears continuously. Since it was almost night and all the inhabitants of Vrindavan, including the cows and calves, were very tired, they decided to take their rest on the riverbank. In the middle of the night, while they were taking rest, there was suddenly a great forest fire, and it quickly appeared that the fire would soon devour all the inhabitants of Vrindavan. As soon as they felt the warmth of the fire, they immediately took shelter of Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although he was playing just like their child, they began to say, "Our dear Krishna, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, our dear Balaram, reservoir of all strength, please try to save us from this all-devouring and devastating fire. We have no shelter other than you. This devastating fire will swallow us all." Thus they prayed to Krishna, saying that they could not take any shelter other than his lotus feet. Lord Krishna, being compassionate upon his own townspeople, immediately swallowed up the whole forest fire and saved them. This was not impossible for Krishna, because he is unlimited. He has unlimited power to do anything he desires. Thus ends the Bhakti-Vedanta purport of the 17th chapter of Krishna, extinguishing the forest fire.
Really. there must be another forest fire.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Late ho jayega. He's saying getting late, 7 to 8. Oh, we have to do arati. Maybe finish here.
Yeah.
Getting there. So, कौन ये है? गोरा गोरामणि है? वो नहीं है? हाँ? Oh, announce. Okay.